Wisconsin's in trouble. The trade war? Killing Wisconsin jobs. Hurting Wisconsin manufacturing. It's hitting farms and dairy hard. Economists say we'll lose 300,000 jobs if it goes on. 300,000. 10%. Think it's worth it? When you or your neighbors stand to lose everything you worked for. Get out of here. Brad Schimmel wants to sit on the Wisconsin Supreme Court and back the agenda that got us into this trade war. To back it all the way. That's not leadership. That's just crazy.
Why so much interest in your race, and what is your closing argument to people in your state as opposed to out-of-state donors and spenders?
Yeah, hi, Ari. I think that Elon Musk has a number of interests here. One is that one of his companies, Tesla, has a lawsuit against the state of Wisconsin that's moving its way through the Wisconsin state courts. So he's got some stakes in the judiciary in Wisconsin, and he wants to have some impact and influence over judges here. And he also, as you know, is working as Donald Trump's right-hand man in sort of unelected, unappointed capacity, and he's got paid canvassers going door to door in Wisconsin that say to put Schimmel on the court to protect the Trump agenda. So those are his interests, and he has spent now over $25 million at the last count that I've heard of. I'm working hard to make sure that voters understand that they should not stand for this, that we should not allow a seat on our Supreme Court to be bought, and the court's not there to advance a partisan agenda.
Yeah.
So I'm just running to be a judge.
Wisconsin's Supreme Court, it will dictate control of the highest court and arguably the nation's most competitive battleground. That'll substantively affect everything from abortion rights to gerrymandering to voting rights, everything. This is also the first statewide race we have had since Donald Trump came back into office. It has been the most expensive judicial race in history already, and the outcome is anybody's guess.
What we've seen is a surge in early voting, a surge in grassroots donating, all the things that you need up against the world's richest man who's trying to buy this election on the other side. So we don't know what's going to happen. What we know is people have shown up in a massive, massive way. And the energy that's unleashed, I think, could transform this election.
When I saw the news at the end of last week that the president's top campaign donor, Mr. Musk, was planning on coming to Wisconsin to personally campaign for Mr. Schimmel in this race, I thought, wow, that's got to be good news for the Democrats. I thought that's got to be to bring the guy who has poured more money into this than is imaginable in a judicial race, to bring in somebody who's got a double-digit underwater approval rating in this country, who a lot of people in this country feel like is taking over the U.S. government in absolutely the worst possibly imaginable terms. I imagine that has to actually kind of energize the other side in Wisconsin. That said, fans of Elon Musk and Donald Trump are probably excited to see him campaign this weekend as well. How do you think that all played out?
Well, this is exactly the question. So Elon Musk has put in about $26 million. That's more than any person has ever put into any judicial election anywhere in American history. The ads that he's funding all over Wisconsin are ads about Donald Trump, saying that Brad Schimmel will advance Trump's agenda. You have to vote for Brad Schimmel if you want to make sure that Trump can do the things he's trying to do. Their goal is to energize the MAGA base. It's not to persuade anyone. It's to turn out more Trump voters to turn out for Brad Schimmel. Now, the other side of that coin is that so many people, frankly, of all politics, especially Democrats, but independents, some Republicans, feel like we are in a moment of crisis, a national emergency in which this unelected mega billionaire is shredding Social Security, the Veterans Administration, the rule of law. They're trying to impeach judges federally. And here he is reaching into Wisconsin to try to buy our judicial system. If we win, if the supporters of Susan Crawford are able to turn out at such a high level that Susan Crawford is the deciding vote on the state Supreme Court after this, it will show nationwide that no amount of money that Musk can pour in can overcome the fury that he's ignited.
And she reminded me of a story that I cannot deny. We had picked up our oldest Mackenzie at a friend's house, and there'd been a fib. I don't know what the fib was anymore, but she had told a fib about something, and she was denying that she had fibbed. So this car ride home, I'm going to get her on the witness stand. So she's in the back seat. I adjusted the mirror, so I'm looking right at her, And she's looking right at me. And every time she looks away, I said, look at me. And I don't think I looked at the road the whole way. And I got her back there, and I'm grilling her about this, and I'm rebutting every fib she piles on the fib. And I got a Perry Mason moment right there in my car. She broke down. I did it, I did it, I did it. And I won my trial. She is next witness, rest my case. Well, she's in the back seat. She is just crying miserably. My wife's looking at me like I'm a monster. And I was proud of myself. I just beat up on it. She was probably 8. I just psychologically beat the daylights out of an 8-year-old in the back seat. That was great.
This is Wisconsin. There's a lot of Wisconsin pride going on, pride in their democracy. They have a high voting turnout. They love their state, and they like good governance. So what are they saying? They're saying Wisconsin is not for sale, Jen. Elon Musk has plowed $20 million into this race. It's the most expensive state judicial race in the history of America. There's an incredible candidate, Judge Crawford, who is a prosecutor, a circuit judge. She's just going along her way, a very good choice for Supreme Court, when all of a sudden, pow, in comes Elon Musk offering $1 million checks to people. This is a state where the people own the football team, the Green Bay Packers. So they are seeing this as the people of Wisconsin versus Musk. And I have never seen such turnout. They're saying, enough, man. So this is a race to watch on Tuesday. Now, it is tight because I got to tell you, all that money plowed in against Judge Crawford, it's going to be tight.
Happening. So, Mike Allen, as we talk about these Florida races, we should manage expectations. Democrats aren't going to win them. Republicans won by 37 and 30 points. Trump won those districts by 37 and 30 points, but Democrats could cut into those margins. Wisconsin, for all the reasons Heilemann just laid out with the Elon Musk factor, is there. We had that surprising result in Pennsylvania last week, a Democrat winning a state-level race in a Trump district. Where are Democrats focusing right now? What are their hopes? I guess they hope some of the polling shows up in these results, which is that Americans, it turns out, don't like tariffs, that Americans, it turns out, don't like mass layoffs, chaotic layoffs where people they know, their neighbors, family members themselves are losing their jobs, with the chainsaw guy, the billionaire. So what are you going to be looking for tonight? But broadly, what are we looking at here nationally in terms of how Democrats might do?
Yeah, thank you, Willie. And first, welcome to April and happy unbirthday to the team up there in New York. Why tonight matters for Democrats is this is a chance for them to get off the mat. Like a big showing, a big win tonight, that's going to bring in money, coin, energy. And I can tell you that in Wisconsin, the White House behind the scenes feeling terrible about how that looks. Charlie, of course, is right about Wisconsin always being a razor's edge. But I can tell you that inside the Republican Party, not a lot of optimism about Wisconsin. Down in Florida, feeling great about the seat that Matt Gaetz used to occupy there in the 1st district. In the 6th district in Florida, really getting nervous about that Mike Waltz seat, despite that remarkable 30-point margin that you just mentioned. A little behind-the-scenes story for your viewers. This is from Axio's Mark Caputo, who lives down there in Florida. And he said that behind the scenes, Mike Waltz, of course, now the president's national security advisor, which is why they're having to fill this seat. Mike Waltz is saying to colleagues behind the scenes, Randy Fine, the Republican candidate you just saw there, he said, if Randy Fine wins, I'm definitely getting fired.
Okay, President Trump.
Finally tonight, a bodega was robbed in Brooklyn this week. The burglars shattered the store's front door, emptied the cash register, and set fire to the ATM. When asked why he does...
Seth, I'm going to stop you right there.
Hey, everybody, that's Amber. The very same Amber Rose, everybody.
I'm going to stop. Seth, look at me. Honestly, I'm concerned with how you're going to end that joke.
You're concerned with how I'm going to end that? I mean, well, obviously, I'm going to make a punchline, make fun of the guy who robbed the bodega.
See, Seth, the problem is that's divisive. Take it from me. If there's one thing I learned from this weekend, it's you have to be fair to both sides.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense. It makes sense in this case. You know, there's an innocent bodega owner. There's a burglar.
Or hear me out, there are very fine people on both sides.
Yeah, but he shattered the front door of a bodega.
Did he, or did he provide an innovative ventilation system?
Yeah, but he stole the cash out of the register.
He received a microloan.
He set fire to the ATM.
He bravely fought inflation. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, Amber, when people are objectively terrible, we should be able to point it out on television.
I thought that too, on Friday. But today is Monday, and Mondays, Amber Ruffin knows that when bad people do bad things, you have to treat them fairly and respectfully. When you watch The Sound of Music, you have to root for the singing children and the other people.
You mean the Nazis?
Calling them that is so one-sided.
Don't you think you're exaggerating?
For now.
I mean, it's just the whole reason we have a free press is so we can report stories, you know, as they actually happen.
No, we have a free press so that we can be nice to Republicans at fancy dinners. That's what it says in the First Amendment.
It does?
I think so. I can't read it. They wrote it in that loopy cursive.
Yeah.
But the point is that you're sowing the seeds of discord. And I used to be the same way. I thought, when people take away your rights, erase your history, and deport your friends, you're supposed to call it out. But I was wrong. Glad to find that out now, because if they had let me give that speech, ooh, baby, I would have been so terrifically mean.
Just burning everyone?
You know I would have been on one. Anywho, don't have time to teach you all this. I gotta go.
Yeah, where are you going?
I have to return the dress I was gonna wear to the correspondence dinner. I already took the tags off, but
I know it's a little bit crazy, April the 1st and all of that, but let me state the obvious. Tomorrow, April the 2nd, is meant to be this huge day where the administration is planning all types of things around the subject of tariffs. I've noticed one thing. Without sounding patronising, why have the only people that have been commenting on this, if they're not politicians, there are people who are extremely, how should we say, well off, billionaires, extremely rich. Why are those the people that the tariffs seem to be, they're the only ones whose opinions count? I've not seen them do anything, I don't know, as random as going to a train station, a supermarket, even old school, person on the street. What do you think? None of that. Bearing in mind the level of communications you can do now, you can go on social media, you can call people. So it would appear that we're living in a two-dimension world where the tariffs are just like, well, they're not going to affect billionaires, basically, which is why you see people like Leary and the other guy, whose name I can't think of, Howard, whatever, who seems to have miraculously disappeared, to comment on it. What I would say, though, by the way, you've got a day left. If you're thinking of buying, how should we say, French cheese, foreign wine, something from Canada, anything which isn't made in America, get it in now. Like, the countdown started, because in 24 hours, I think everything's going to be hugely, well, more money. That being said, I wonder how much of it is bluff and bluster by the leader of the administration, one Trump, and how much of it will actually go through. And this is the bottom line that I don't really understand, is totally turkeys for Thanksgiving. The MAGAs are out there getting ready to celebrate Tariff Wednesday, oh God, they seriously are, and they don't grasp a basic. It would affect them. I think somehow they think they got, you know, like when you play Monopoly, you get a get out of jail free card. The tariffs are not coming for me. I'm Teflon. The tariffs won't affect me. Good luck. For the rest of us,
So you recently bought a Tesla for White House staff to use, but now there's all these domestic terrorists targeting Teslas. Are the staff scared to drive it?
I don't think so. I haven't heard. They were complaining. I did buy one, and I let the staff use it. We have it parked conveniently, and one day we give it to Margot, one day we give it to Chamberlain, give it to Natalie, we give it to everybody around, give it to Dan Scavino, but he's got so much money it doesn't matter. But they love the car, and it's a great car, and it's made here, and it's made in the country. He's got a tremendous plant now in Texas, and he has one in California. Does a lot of his work here, and he's been really unfairly treated, in my opinion. I travel.
And
yeah.
There's this other story.
Mar-a-Lago all-face, bollocks and no substance. Or was that Botox and no substance? Troops gather around for the glitzy, the glamorous, the utterly superficial saga of Mar-a-Lago's finest. I'm being sarcastic. Pam Bondi and Kristi Noem. Here comes the dog killer. Welcome to the show where the stakes are low, but the Botox is high. Yes, Mar-a-Lago all-face. I think it's part of the administration. Let's start with Pam Bondi, the once and future queen of the courtroom, who's now, get this, spearheading a crackdown on those pesky, frivolous lawsuits against the government. Oh, really? She's not just stopping there. She's been appointed to clean up the DOJ. A place surely overwhelmed by all of those dangerous school board parents and pro-life activists. Deep state! Under her watch, we're promised a return to justice for all, as long as all doesn't include anyone opposing the administration. Yeah, democracy. Is that on hold? Is that on pause? Then there's Kristi Noem, the dog killer herself, puppet killer, South Dakota's gift to Homeland Security, who's been busy. She auditioned to bring back Lara Croft or something, deploying the National Guard to tackle the grave threats at the border, because nothing says home security like a good display of military might against civilians looking for a better life. Be very careful, very topical. Noem's tenure promises to be as impactful as her previous policies, full of sound, fury, and signifying nothing but good old-fashioned political, let me dress up like she just wants to be Lara Croft. Something like that. Oh, cosplaying. That's what Miss Noem does. Together, these two are storming the swamp and covering it in Botox. Oh, wait, they're not draining it. They're throwing lavish parties in it. At the exclusive Mar-a-Lago Club, because that's where they go every weekend, where the only real threats are bad press and worse appetizers. Food's pretty bad there. Bondi and Noem shine as the bells of the ball. They're not just in office to serve, they're here to dazzle, distract, and deliver absolute nothing of substance, packaged together for Fox News. So what we can expect from this dynamic duo, because we've not seen anything worth seeing at the moment. More hard-hitting actions like sanctioning lawyers and terrorising the terrorised. Yeah, absolutely. Because in the world of Trumpian politics, if you're not making headlines, if you're not doing any level of distracting, you're not making waves, and let's be honest, when it comes to Bondi and Noem, just sounds so wrong, it's never about the policy, it's all about the publicity, wrapped up in Botox. So buckle up, folks. It's going to be a bumpy Botox ride filled with all the Mar-a-Lago all-face crew, where the only thing real is the silicone and the only genuine articles are the designer dresses. They're fake? Okay. In that reality show, the only thing you can trust is that nothing is as shallow as it seems. It's always shallower. But remember, in the race to the bottom, Bondi and Noem aren't just participants, they're leading the pack. Because when it comes to politics at Mar-a-Lago, it's not about how low you can go, it's about how low you can stoop and still wear Louboutins or something like that. Welcome to Bollocks and No Substance.
We felt that we're living the American dream until one day in 2012, I know this personally with my dad. I feel for you, Ms. Spooner. Till one day in 2012, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's is a degenerate Parkinson's disease is a degenerative brain disease that progresses over time. Sorry, I'm thinking about my dad. It is unrelenting and affects motor and nerve processes. Loss of benefits will have a direct and daily effect on me and my family as we navigate the medical needs we will be facing. I will need progressive and comprehensive care as I age. I will need medication every single day of my life. And I will need the security of a generous society to care for me. Millions of others join me there. Please, Senator Booker, please protect my Social Security. I just thank God that my mom had the resources to take care of my dad. And I watched that degenerative disease take from his life for 20 years and how much it cost, the thousands of dollars it cost my mom to take care of him. I know my friend Andy Kim, who's in the Senate right now, is facing health challenges with his father. I know so many people personally whose parents have Alzheimer's. I know so many Americans who are not powerful, they're not rich. I know so many Americans who live in fear every day that one little thing will happen to them that will destabilize their financial well-being. And now those millions of Americans, because of a president and a man named Musk, are driving fear into them, are whacking away the people that answer phones, are firing the people in an agency that already was struggling with wait times, that already was struggling with slow response times. These people who are hanging on by a thread in their lives are facing the people they love the most, who are struggling with the diseases that so many of us in this body have been affected by. They are now worried. They're writing me letters with words like fear and terror. They're talking about staying up at night and not being able to sleep because they don't have a president that comforts them. They have a president that talks down to them, that lies about the services that they rely on. What is this? It is not normal. It is not normal. This is America. How can the most powerful people in our land not comfort others, not tell them they have nothing to fear but fear itself, not tell them to have malice towards none but have charity towards all? What kind of man is in our White House that makes fun of the disabled, who lies so much that the fact checkers lose count, that minimizes the pain and the suffering? Where you have cabinet secretaries that are billionaires themselves that say, if my mom misses a Social Security check, but if somebody else complains about it, they're probably a fraudster. These people are not fraudsters. They're hurting. They're afraid. They're worried. For God's sake, this is America.